Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, classic crime, recent horror, and a big announcement coming soon. It's my weekly wrap-up. Right, so let's start with that announcement, which I'm not going to make now. I'm going to trail now just to be really, really annoying. So tomorrow I will be putting up a video with a couple of announcements about some things that are going to be changing slightly about the channel. Not hugely, it's not going to impact the stuff you see day to day, but some things I wanted you to be aware of. So look out for that. People who are part of my Discord community will know about one of the things already, but there is something else in there too. So yeah, just wanted to make sure people were aware that that's coming. And speaking of my Discord community, it's really flourishing at the moment. It's a lovely place to just hang out and talk books. So do look in the description for this video and also in the about section on my channel. You'll find a link to it. It's really easy to join up, completely free. And there's just, a bunch of people, a few hundred of us now, who hang out there and talk books. There's a few people who've started doing a weekly movie watch there as well, which I haven't been able to take part in myself, but which I think is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so there's going to be 4 parts to this video today. Now I've got that preamble out of the way. So firstly, I'm going to give a quick update on the various reading challenges I'm doing at the moment, because I always forget to do that. So I thought I'd make a point of doing it at the start of this video. Then I'll talk about the books I've been reading this week and the stuff I'm reading at the moment. Then I'm going to talk about stuff that's been on the channel in the last week and in the week coming up. And then I'm going to do a very small book haul, because I've had a few books come in through the post this week, which I wanted to show to you. Right, so let's crack on then with the challenges. So you may be aware there's 4 different kind of challenges or projects that I'm doing at the moment, because I'm an idiot. So the first one is the Read What You Own challenge, where I'm reading 100 books I already own before I buy any new ones. So I am up to 49 books on that now, so I'm very nearly halfway, and I'm pretty confident I'll hit the halfway point this weekend. So that's good. I feel like I'm getting through it quickly, and it hasn't been a struggle at all so far. There's been a couple of things that I've kind of thought, maybe I would have bought that if I could. But overall, it's felt like a rewarding experience. I'm really pleased with how it's going, and I'm pleased not to be adding to the huge pile of 100 books behind me. So that's going well. The other thing I'm doing, which isn't going quite so well, is the 50 books I want to read before I'm 50 challenge, where I made a list of 50 books that I really want to get to before I turn 50 at the end of April. I'm not doing very well on that. I've only read one of the books so far, and clearly I've only got 4 months to do it, and I'm halfway through the first month, so I'm definitely behind where I need to be. So I've read one and started another, and I'll talk about both of those in this update. In terms of my classics challenge, where I'm reading 12 classics that were, well, I should say actually reading or attempting 12 classics that were recommended by Michael K. Vaughan. I've read or tried 7 of them now, so there were 2 DNFs in there, so read 5, DNF 2, I've got 5 to go. And my disturbing books project, where I'm reading disturbing books that were recommended to me by viewers, I am about a quarter of the way through, I think. So I did an update video on that in the last week. I've read 6 books so far. I've just started the 7th one out of what is currently a total of about 24, but that total is a total that could grow. So people are still suggesting books. I'm still adding books to the list, so I expect that total will grow a bit in the coming weeks, and hopefully it will stop at some point, and I won't just be reading disturbing books for the rest of my life, but we shall see. One other thing to note while I think of it actually is, so I've put up this morning on my community tab a poll for the birth year book club. So every month we read a book that was published in the year of the birth of either another booktuber or a subscriber. So this month we've read Life, the Universe and Everything by Douglas Adams, which I'll talk about in a bit. But I put up the poll for next month's book. So if you'd like to take part in the book group, just jump onto my Discord. As I say, it's really easy to do. The 4 books that are in the running for this month, or sorry, for next month, for February, are The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury, June by Frank Herbert, and Conan by Robert E. Howard, L. Sprague de Camp, and Lynn Carter, which is like a collection of Conan short stories. I think at the moment, certainly when I last checked, The Haunting of Hill House was winning. But yeah, if you want to vote and take part in the book group, check my community tab. You'll see a link for the Discord there as well as the poll to vote on. Right, so what have I read this week? So I talked about this book in my wrap-up last week and finished it on the Sunday, Bomber by Len Deighton, which was just fantastic. So I think I'm going to do a review video for this in the week ahead. It's not really the kind of book I normally review on the channel because it's not crime, it's not horror, it's not a disturbing book, but it was excellent. So I do want to talk about it. So a World War II novel written in the 70s, I think, about a bombing raid on a German town, basically, told from the perspective of both the bombing crew and people in the town and people in a Dutch town as well that gets kind of flown over, and it all takes place in the space of about 24 hours. So an absolutely fascinating book, really thoroughly recommended. But yeah, I'll do a review of that soon. I've also read a much less good book, Odd Apocalypse by Dean Koontz. So people will have seen I'm reading through the Odd Thomas series that Koontz wrote a little while ago. This was more of the same. So Odd Thomas continues to annoy me as a character. The writing is just so over the top and crazy at times. I ended up highlighting some passages in it this time because they were just so overblown and completely distract from the story, which is kind of a fun pulpy story. So the story itself was a bit crazy and certainly went in a completely different direction from the previous books in the series, introducing something like a new element which was very unexpected, but kind of fun. So I did quite enjoy it. But yeah, I'm still not sold on the series overall, but I will persevere. I've got 3 books left. Or is it 2? It may only be 2 actually. I think it's only 2. So also read, as I've said already, Life, the Universe and Everything by Douglas Adams for the Birth Year book group. So I had read this before, but a long time ago. The 3rd book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Probably my least favourite of the 3 so far, but still a lot of fun. So the plot is just kind of all over the place. But the humour is wonderful. So if you don't know the series, it's about a guy from Earth who gets kind of taken by aliens and goes on a voyage around the universe, and there's all sorts of weirdness in there. There's time travel. There's a lot going on. But it's very silly, but very, very funny at times. And this one made me laugh, I think, more than the previous 2 books had. So I had a good time with it, even though the plot wasn't fantastic. So also finished this morning, Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith, which is another project I'm doing this year, which I forgot to mention earlier. So I'm reading all of Patricia Highsmith's books with Anne Novella. And this was her first book, so I've ticked the first one off that challenge. I think there's about 25 books in total. So it was excellent. I have read it before. It's such a great concept. You can see immediately why Hitchcock wanted to film it. If you don't know, the concept of it is, the idea is these 2 guys meet on a train. Both of them have someone in their lives who they would rather was not in their lives anymore, and they agree to swap murders basically, on the basis that if they each murder the other person, the police won't suspect them. So a really great concept. Bruno, who's like one of the main characters, is just a fantastic character, a classic Highsmith character, similar in some ways to her character Tom Ripley. Just a really great character. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I will probably do a review video for that one as well at some point. In terms of what I'm reading at the moment, then, so I started for my Disturbing Books project this morning, Hogg by Samuel Delany, and I read the first chapter of it and could not read it anymore. It definitely feels like a book that needs to be read in small doses. So there's another 3 people on my Discord who are doing a buddy read of it with me, so we're doing like a mini group read. So again, if you want to join in that, jump on the Discord. I think everyone is in agreement that it's not a book to rush through. It was... I mean, I'll do a review of it at some point, but that first chapter is so explicit, which I expected, and horrifying, which I kind of expected as well. But when I finished reading it, after I'd finished reading it and put the book down, I felt the impact of it, which I wasn't expecting. So yeah, definitely, I can definitely see why it's got the reputation it has for being a tremendously disturbing book. So I think I'm about 8 or 9% of the way through it. So I've got 10 times as much still to read. So we'll see how I get on with that one. But yeah, I think I'll probably read a chapter a day. So to kind of take my mind off that, I picked up this Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, which is a new release, or newish release. I think it came out in 22, yeah, which is pretty good so far. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this. It's about a young woman who gets hired to be like a nanny for a family who are slightly peculiar, but not too peculiar. But what is definitely peculiar about them is the fact that their son, who's like 5 or 6 years old, has an imaginary friend who it would seem is a ghost. So it's quite entertaining so far, and it's quite interestingly told in that you get these kind of illustrations, like pictures that the kid has drawn as the book progresses as well. So a fun, quick read so far is what it feels like. So beyond that, I'm also going to read, because it is the Scary Sleepover January Blues edition weekend, this weekend, that's being run by Alex at the Bookubus. So one of the prompts is a book that's new to you, which is Hidden Pictures, being a fairly new release. One of the other prompts is a book with blue on the cover to tie in with the January Blues theme. So this is another one of my 50 books to read before I'm 50, The Institute by Stephen King. So when I've finished Hidden Pictures, I will be picking this up and starting this. I did try and read it when it first came out and didn't get on with it. So hopefully I enjoy it a bit more this time. Okay, so in terms of channel stuff then, so in the last week or so, you've had, I did a small press spotlight video where I talked about a bunch of small press or independently published books that I've been sent recently. I've done a couple of reviews, so I did a review of A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, and one of Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. I did an update on my Disturbing Books project where I talked about some of the books I've read so far and what I'm going to be reading next. I did a video on how to start and grow a BookTube channel, which a lot of people seem to have found really useful, which is good. And I also did a tag video which was about books that have changed my life. Which again people seem to have enjoyed. I was a bit overwhelmed by the reaction from a lot of people to that video. So thank you if you commented on that one. In the week ahead, so as I said, tomorrow there's an announcement video going up, so look out for that. I will do a review of Bomber, as I've said. I think I'm going to do as a tag this week on Tuesday, I'm going to do the Your BookTube tag, which looks quite fun. I'm going to do an unboxing video for my monthly horror subscription box, the Abominable Book Club box, which has just come. I've actually just filmed that video. It's not a fantastic month this month, but a pretty good month. So yeah, look out for that. I'm finally going to try and put up my review of the cover I've got for my Kindle Scribe, which I keep on failing to put up. So I'm going to try and put that up. And I'm also going to do a review as part of my what do I call it? My Carry On Screaming series, where I look at vintage British horror novels. I'm going to do a review of The Doll Who Ate His Mother by Ramsey Campbell, which came out in, I think, 76. Okay, I promised you a mini book haul at the end, and here it is. I've got 3 books to talk to you about, all compliant with the Read What You Own challenge rules, because 2 of them were gifts and one of them was a review copy. The review copy I was expecting, the gifts I wasn't. So thank you very much if you sent me a gift. So anyway, the review copy is this one, Innocent Assassin, by Paul MacDonald, which is a kind of female assassin type story that looks like a lot of fun. So I look forward to reading that soon. I would have featured this in my small press spotlight video, but it arrived after I'd filmed it, unfortunately. And then the 2 gifts. So the first one, I do not know who this was from. But it's a book I really want to read, but it's a huge book, so I'm not sure how quickly I will read it. It's like 900 pages, but it's 2666 by Roberto Bolaño, which is supposed to be fantastic. So a huge whopper of a crime novel. And then also, and this one came from, let me find the note, came from Lam and Dave, who are in the folk duo Pegasuses. So they sent me a copy of Night of the Hunter by Davis Grubb, which is a book that I've wanted to read for ages. And I need to see the film as well, because I've never seen the movie. But yeah, it's supposed to be an absolutely excellent kind of classic crime novel. So yeah, looking forward to reading that soon. And thank you again very much to Lam and Dave, and also to whoever sent me 2666. Okay, time for a round of book from the shelves. So this is Zoe Punches the Future in the Dick by David Wong, which is very amusing, a very silly but entertaining sci-fi novel with some really interesting concepts in it as well. So it's actually the second book in the series. The first one is called Futuristic Violence and Fancy Suits. They're both really good. Wong is better known for his John Dies at the End series, of which I've read the first book in that, which was excellent as well. So a very bizarre series of horror novels. But yeah, if you fancy sci-fi rather than horror and a bit of comedy too, I definitely recommend these books. Okay, I hope you found that interesting. If you've read any of the books I talked about today, do let me know what you thought of them. And let me know what you've been reading this week. And as I say, look out for an announcement video tomorrow. But until then, I will bid you farewell. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.